Alrighty, what is up, y'all? LBM back with another live stream, and today we're going to be doing a movie review live stream. I have not done a movie review live stream in quite a long time. I think the last time I did was back in 2018 or 2019, so it's definitely been a while. Here we are now, doing another one. Uh, so, yeah. But anyway, I am going to put on the music. I got, obviously, music, just to make it a little bit better. Alright, there we go. Hopefully the audio on both ends is good. My audio and the music audio. But anyway, and damn, of course my dog left. I had my door open because my dogs were outside my door. I was like, maybe I'll in the background. It'll be funny. But yeah, there goes one of them. But anyway, so just a sec. I'm pulling up everything, the stream and all that. All right. Pull that up there. Alright, but yeah. Sorry about that. Anyway, so today we are going to be reviewing the new Superman movie that just came out. So yeah, and this will be a spoiler review, so if you have not seen the movie yet, this is your warning, so be sure to go see the movie in theaters, and then come back here if you still want to hear my thoughts on it. Or if you don't care for spoilers and you still haven't seen it, then I guess stay. I don't know. Up to you. Point is, there'll be spoilers. There's your warning. So, yeah. I do want to apologize for people that are watching this in, like, what's it called, playback, like after the stream's over, and are like watching this as like a video, if that makes sense. Because of course, as you all can see, I have the live chat like on screen. But when I read certain chats, you're not going to be able to see them right away. It's probably going to take a few more chats. Like if someone says hey, then if I read that, then you guys aren't going to see it on screen until more people type it in, because it's not showing like the entire chat, if that makes sense. You guys will see once people start joining and chatting. But yeah, I just wanted to let y'all know that real quick. But yeah. Anyway, so let's get into our review for Superman. So. Yeah, Superman, of course, a lot going for this movie, especially coming off of the DC EU, which, well, I'm getting like a warning thing. What's this about? Warning, please. Yeah, I don't know what that's about. I think, like, the stream seems to be still working fine. Here, I'm gonna go check the audio real quick just to see. Look at that, everything's working fine. But anyway, yeah, so this is, of course, coming off of the DCEU, which was not much of a success. They had a few hits here and there, definitely. More specifically at the beginning of their, universe. Like, you had Man of Steel, BVS, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, all made money. And sure, 3 of those 4 weren't received that well, but still made money. Then you went to, then you go to Justice League, which I remember at the time was their lowest grossing film, which was insane. Then Aquaman, which made $1 billion, which I still don't get. I mean, I like Aquaman. I think it's a good movie. But Aquaman's the biggest DC movie of all time. It's still funny to think. Then we got Shazam, which I say Shazam was probably their last, like, real box office success for the DCEU. So I didn't make that much money, but considering the goddamn, do y'all hear that? Considering the budget of that movie, it was still a win. Then you get into Birds of Prey, and yeah, that movie did not do very well. Obviously, it came out like a month before COVID as well, but still, even then, for the month it was in theaters, didn't do very well. Then you have Wonder Woman 2, which was in theaters and on HBO Max. We heard it did very well on HBO Max, but of course in theaters it didn't do very well. Which, I mean, it's fair to that. Makes sense why it didn't. Same with the Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad was the same thing. Directed by James Gunn, by the way. Of course, that was James Gunn's first DC movie. That didn't do well at the box office either. But then you go to Black Adam, and Black Adam was definitely the beginning of the end for the DCEU, because Black Adam came out. We all know The Rock was like, "Oh, we're gonna change DC. This is a new start of a DC era," which technically was right. It just wasn't with Black Adam. He was like, yep, this is the beginning. Black Adam's gonna be like the main face of DC going forward. You know, we're gonna bring back Henry Cavill Superman. Y'all are gonna love this. Then, of course, Black Adam came out, didn't do very well. And then that's when James Gunn and Peter Safran took over and said, fuck you, Delane, we're rebooting. Which, honestly, thank God, I honestly would have... I much prefer this than The Rock basically being in charge of DC. I feel like that would not have gone the way they wanted it to go. So, of course, that happened. Of course, you know, then we had the whole, you know, DC's rebooting thing before the DCEU could even end. Which I still think wasn't the smartest decision for them to announce that beforehand. Because that did really... I feel like that really did just doom the rest of the movies they had coming out. Like, obviously, Shazam 2, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman 2. Even though they kept... You know, remember, James Gunn kept talking about, like, oh yeah, these characters are, like, great characters for the DCU. But, like, they obviously... Except for Blue Beetle, none of them are coming back. At least the actors playing them. So, yeah. And it was like, I want to say Aquaman 2 was their last semi-hit, but even then it made way less than the first one. I don't know. Point is, of course, after that, we are now here in the DCU era, which did start with Creature Commandos back in December, right? I think it was it? I think it was December that it first aired. First aired in December, and I really enjoyed Creature Commandos. I thought it was pretty good. You know, and sorry, I'm just double checking the stream real quick. But no, I thought Creature Commandos was pretty good, and that was technically the start of this new DCU. But now we have Superman, which is what James Gunn said, the true start of the DCU. So yeah. Now, what did I think about Superman? I know I've dragged this out a little bit, but you guys are probably wondering, what do I think about Superman? I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed Superman. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was a really good movie. There are a few nitpicks I do have with it that I'll get into, but going over the movie itself, of course the opening, surprisingly the movie opened with what we first saw in the trailer, with Superman crashing down, and then they released like the whole 5-minute sneak peek a few months ago too. Turns out that was the beginning of the movie, which I was not expecting. And honestly, during that, I was thinking that they were probably gonna, that after all that happened, I was thinking maybe afterwards they were gonna do like a 1 week ago thing to like catch us up on what's been going on. But no, it is legit the start of the movie, and I guess it makes sense because they start off the movie as well with like this whole text of Kal-El revealed Superman revealed himself as Superman 3 years ago. And, you know, they're like, oh, this is the era of gods and monsters, because that's the chapter they're in right now, DC. So, yeah. But yeah, I thought the opening was pretty solid, you know. Solid way to start the movie. Not what I was expecting, but it was still solid. Of course, we then see Superman go back to I can't talk. Okay, anyway. There we go. We see Superman head back, and that's when we see, oh look, LWFTW's here, my best friend, hell yeah. And this is what I'm talking about, y'all. If you're watching in playback, you can't see their chat right now. Like, you can't see it yet, because there has to be a few more chats, but, you know, but they're there. But yeah, Superman comes back, he's getting his ass beat by the Lex bot. And okay, this is where one of my nitpicks comes in. And it's actually, and it's happened like right before it too. One of my problems with the movie, and not that it does it too much, it's mostly in the beginning of the movie, and then they don't really do it afterwards. Towards the beginning, I feel like the exposition they give on certain things is handled poorly. Like, it kind of reminded me of Captain America 4, which I still haven't reviewed yet on the channel. I did talk about it on LWFTW's channel a little bit, but I don't think I brought it up there. How I thought in Cap 4 the way they like kind of recapped stuff from like the Falcon and Winter Soldier show was kind of like silly, you know, just the way they were, because, like, you know, you had Sam in his, like, vibranium suit, and you just have the one military guy like, whoa, how did he do that? And you walk in like, oh, well, you see, Sam had his armor transferred, or had his armor, yeah, transferred from Wakandans for helping them out. And then, you know, then you bring in Isaiah Bradley, and it's like, oh, wait, this is Isaiah Bradley, the old super soldier, you know, like, pretty much having to explain to the people who didn't watch that show, understand. God damn, why does that happen? Pretty much trying to make people understand, you know, stuff that they didn't, if they didn't watch that show. In the case of Superman, yes, there is no homework you have to do, you know, but we are, the fact that we're starting in, you know, and already, like, in an established world already, with, you know, Superman and Lex already, you know, hero and enemy, the way they, like, explain, okay, to name them specifically, the first part with, like, when Superman gets to his fortress and the robots are carrying him in, there's, is this or Thunderbolts better? I'd say Thunderbolts right now. I'd say Thunderbolts, but we'll see when I rewatch Superman. We'll see. But yeah, when one of the robots brings Superman in, or when the robots bring him in, one of the, and I think, god damn, why can't I talk normally? Okay. I think they said one of the robots was new or something, because one of the robots, like, asks something, and then the other robot goes, oh, well, you see, Kal-El was sent here as a baby from Krypton, and his parents sent him a message, but half of it was destroyed. You know, and it's kind of like, okay, like, I guess it's fine to explain it to that. But then you get the exact same thing basically happens with Lex Luthor and his goons. Because then you go to, like, when Lex is telling everyone what buttons to press with the robot fighting Superman. Then you have that one goon that's like, whoa, Lex, like, you know all his moves, and then you have the other goon like, oh, well, yeah, you see, Lex has been studying Superman's moves for years now. He knows his every move, and it's like, so did Superman get a new robot and Lex get a new goon just to explain to the audience? Like I get you want to, I get you need to explain stuff like that usually, or either that it's just, you know, either I feel like you can either explain it in a better way, or you can just because someone brought this up, I saw a reviewer bring this up, which I thought was a good example. In the first Star Wars movie, you have, I think it was the first Star Wars movie, A New Hope. You have Darth Vader, he, like, kidnaps one of the characters, I don't remember who, and, you know, they don't have Darth Vader going, oh, I'm gonna rule the galaxy or whatever. Like the movie helps you understand what's going on as it progresses, you know? And I feel like the same could have been done here, but again, it's not a big problem. It's really only those two scenes that it happens in, so it's not like a big problem I have, but it's still something to know, you know. But again, it's only for those two scenes, so it's, you know, the rest of the movie doesn't have that problem at all, which is nice, I think. So yeah, Superman's fighting the robot. He loses. The, you know, people, or at least one person obviously helps him up that we saw in the trailer. The others are laughing at him. Well, not laughing, but they're, like, recording. Then we get to the Daily Planet, which is like, it's basically this and the scene after, obviously, is like the only scenes we get of Clark Kent himself in the movie, which did surprise me, to be honest. I thought we were gonna get, you know, not like a balance of Clark Kent and Superman, but I thought we definitely would get more Clark Kent. But this movie was mostly Superman, which I'm cool with. So it's like the Batman, you know, the Batman was mostly of Batman and not Bruce Wayne. And I love that about that movie, so, you know, the fact they did the same here with Superman, I thought was, you know, a cool choice. So yeah, we have the Daily Planet stuff, which I thought was pretty good. I thought the Daily Planet stuff was pretty good. I think, okay, Rachel, I can't ever pronounce her last name, but Rachel, who plays Lois, I think she did great. I think she did a great job as Lois. And here's the thing about Lois, I feel like Lois can be kind of an annoying character, to be honest, just in general. Like, I feel like, especially with the DCEU Lois Lane, she was pretty annoying at times. Like, a lot of the times, to be more specific. And they did, I remember they put out a clip for this movie with Lois. And it kind of had me going, like, rolling my eyes a bit. But, like, when actually watching the movie, she didn't annoy me at all. She did not annoy me at all, which I was surprised about. So I actually really liked Lois in this movie, so that was nice. I know I'm talking about her as Lois. I know I'm talking about David. Yeah, I'll get to David and Nick Holt as their characters in a bit. But then of course, yeah. So they're in the Daily Planet. Goddamn, what is wrong with my voice? They're in the Daily Planet, talking about the whole thing with Superman losing against a robot. We have Jimmy Olsen, who I thought the whole Jimmy Olsen stuff in this movie was actually pretty fun. Like with all these girls just liking him. I thought that was kind of funny. And then obviously Keith Tessmacher. Then we of course go to, or I don't remember. I think between this and the next thing I'm about to talk about was Lex with the government talking about bringing in Superman. I don't know. It was definitely around here. But of course, where we get Rick Flag Sr. Of course, then we get Clark and Lois in Lois's apartment. Which I will say, I do think this also kind of falls into the category I was just talking about of them poorly explaining stuff that, the audience needs to know. Like Lois just comes in and Clark's like, whoa, Lois, we've been dating for 3 months. Yeah, honestly, I feel like a more natural way they could have done that was maybe Clark just going happy 3-month anniversary, and she's like, aw, and he's like, yeah, I decided to cook you dinner. I feel like that would have been a little bit more, but again, it's not that big a deal for that one. It's definitely more passable than with the previous two that I talked about. But yeah, and I will say, David and Rachel have really good chemistry. I really like the chemistry between the two. I think it's probably some of the best Clark and Lois chemistry since, the original Superman movies. Definitely way better than Henry Cavill and Amy Adams. Yeah, they did not have much chemistry, let's be honest. But so yeah, they're hanging out. Then that's when we get Lois interviewing Superman, and I thought the whole sequence was actually pretty good. They start asking some real questions, stuff that Lois actually wants to know, stuff that Superman thinks should be the obvious answer and all that. And I will say, this is another pro we'll give to James Gunn. He definitely lets most of this movie, when there's a scene that needs to be serious, he lets it be serious, because that was obviously a thing a lot of people were worried about going into it. I wasn't super worried about that, but I was a little ugh. I mean, I could see him maybe adding in jokes here and there during the serious moments. But I'd say there's probably only one scene he does that in, where there's a serious moment happening and then there's humor. But then every other serious scene in the movie, there's no humor, that ruins the scene, or that ruins the scene. So yeah, so I did like that about the scene. I think it ended pretty well. So yeah, and then we see, I'm thinking this is the next scene. Of course, we see Lex, the engineer, and why am I forgetting his name already? Ultraman. We see the three of them head to the Fortress of Solitude. They break in, they murder all the robots, and they hurt Crypto, and they find the message from Kal-El's parents. And this is something that's pretty interesting because, of course, supposedly they translate the rest of the message shortly after, and they show it to the world, that the second half of the message was Clark's parents, his real parents, telling him that he's destined to rule Earth and destroy everything, something along those lines. And Clark, his whole life, thought the second half of the message was them telling him to, be the protector of Earth and save lives and all that. Now, the movie never addresses, well, okay, not necessarily address, but the movie, for the rest of the movie, they try making it clear, oh yeah, this message was real, it couldn't have been faked. And the whole time I was watching, I was like, alright, now, by some point they'll figure out it's fake, and it's, they actually told him to, save Earth. But that doesn't happen at all. That does not happen at all. Which really surprised me. There's no, big thing, towards the end or whatever, where we see it, the second half of the message being, an actual, different one. No. The whole movie, they say, oh, it was real. Which, who knows, maybe it is still fake and they're saving it for a future movie, maybe Supergirl they're waiting to like reveal the true second half of the message. But if it does remain the way it is, I personally don't mind it. I don't mind it because I think both Lois and Paul Kent said in the film, that goes to show how like the type of person that Clark is, thinking that, you know, they wanted to send him there to help people and all that. You know, the fact that he thought that his whole life says a lot about him as Superman, because that's Superman for you. So, you know, if that remains the message, like if that is like actually what it was, then I don't mind it. Of course, during that time we have the giant, what was it called? I don't remember what the creature was called, but obviously there's like this little creature that like grows super big, and then Superman's fighting it. What are your thoughts on? God damn, my stupid throat. What are your thoughts? Do y'all hear that? What is going on? Alright, let's try it one more time. What are your thoughts on Coyote versus Acme being saved? I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty cool that it got saved. So we've heard good things about it, so, you know, good for them for getting it saved. I'll be checking it out when it comes out. But yeah, so Superman's fighting the big creature, and of course that's when we get the Justice Gang. Which, actually, I had a lot of fun with the Justice Gang. I wasn't too sure on how to feel about them being in the movie, like a lot of people. But they were pretty fun. I think they were pretty fun, especially Mr. Terrific, who was definitely like the main character of the game through the movie. You know, I thought Mr. Terrific was really cool. He had a great fight scene later on, which I thought was really fun. Of course, you had Guy Gardner, who I thought was pretty funny. It was funnier than I thought it was going to be, to be honest. I thought Guy Gardner was hilarious. Then you have Hawkgirl, who I thought was pretty cool. I definitely want to see more of her, because, you know, as Bowden has said, I love her. Anyway. But yeah, the Justice Game was great. Thought they were pretty fun inclusion. So yeah. And then, of course, that's when the message we talked about leaks out. And then what happens after that? I think that's when Superman goes back to his, his house. And that's when we get the Peacemaker cameo, which I was not expecting. I did not expect we get a Peacemaker cameo in the movie. But we did. I thought it was pretty cool. I was really surprised that my theater laughed at it, because my theater, you know, laughed at the scene. I'm always surprised because, you know, Peacemaker is a TV character. Yes, he started off in the Suicide Squad, but still, last time we saw him was in his show. Because here's the thing, it reminded me of like when Deadpool and Wolverine came out, and it reminded me of when Deadpool and Wolverine came out, and Deadpool made the joke, a wife is in this thing? From Loki Season 1, Episode 5. I remember, I saw that movie 3 times in theaters. Only one of those times, I don't remember which one, but only one of those times did one person in my theater laugh at that joke. Only one person laughed at that joke. The three times I saw it. But then with Peacemaker, a lot of people in my theater did laugh, which I think goes to show how much popular Peacemaker himself has gotten as a character. And, you know, I know people are probably going to say, well, again, Peacemaker was in a movie first, and then he was in his own show. Well, so was Loki. So Loki was also in his own... Well, Loki was also in multiple movies, and then he had his own show. Granted, with the Loki joke, they made it more, like, direct joke to his show. Like, it was like when Peacemaker showed up, it wasn't like, oh yeah, I've been doing a lot since Season 1, Episode 8 of my show. You know, it wasn't like that. So I guess you could say that was why they got more of a laugh. But still, I was kind of surprised. It was cool seeing people laugh at Peacemaker's cameo, and I thought it was pretty funny. Well, Coyote versus Acme is going to be at Comic-Con. Oh, is it? I did not know that. So yeah, of course, Superman heads on home. We see the Justice Gang is fighting some creature outside. Which, okay, I did see, okay, this person I'm subscribed to, 3C Films, I watched his spoiler review. He thought that was, like, being used as humor, like that being in the background as Clark and Lois are having a serious conversation. I didn't see it that way at all. I just saw it as them, you know, just in the background. Like, I didn't see it as being, like, any sort of humor at all, but I don't know. Of course, Clark and Lois have their moment, or they talk with each other. Clark is like, I'm gonna turn myself in. He tells Lois that he loves her, which I thought was a pretty nice moment. Then we move on to Superman turning himself in, where they're being really aggressive because they're jerks. I don't know. I was gonna say like dirks. I don't know why jerks, because they're jerks. Man, I guess I watched too much Last of Us, huh? Watched too much Last of Us. Okay. Anyway, I would definitely say the fight in the background is definitely a comedic element during that conversation. I guess I didn't see it that way personally. I did not see it that way. Like I don't know. I guess because I wasn't really paying attention to it either. You know, I was focused on like what Clark and Lois were talking about, but I guess you could. Me personally, I didn't see it that way as I was watching, but I guess other people could, so that's fair. At least that's how it's hit all 4 times I've seen it. Okay, so see, I guess it's depends on the person watching, I guess. So I don't know. But yeah, then Superman turns himself in. He goes to the pocket dimension where we have Metamorpho. Wow, Metamorpho. But Metamorpho show up. He has the kryptonite hand. Superman gets locked up. Then we see we find out that Jimmy Olsen is talking with Eve Tessmacher, and that's how he's getting all this information about Lex. So, they find out Superman's in a pocket dimension, Lois goes to the Justice Gang. They don't really care. Mr. Terrific decides to come check it out, and that's where we, again, get the cool fight scene, which I thought was really good. Well, of course, right before that, okay, I do want to talk about this. Right before that, I thought the scene was really dark. I was not expecting this to happen. We see Lex bring in the guy who was helping Superman, like, up earlier after when he fell into the streets, and, there was only one guy who helped Superman get up. We saw Lex bring that guy to Superman and shoot him in the head in front of Superman. That was fucking dark. I was not expecting that. That was actually insane that they did that. Like, man, that was rough. That was just rough. So, yeah, definitely, this movie definitely did a good job of making Lex, a hateable villain, Of course, that happened, and Metamorpho's like, oh man, I can't believe he did that. Like, and of course Superman's like, if you let me go, I promise I'll save your kid, who was across from them. Metamorpho takes away the kryptonite. He creates like a big sun, which I thought was pretty cool. Then of course Superman escapes. He saves the baby, and there's that whole sequence of Superman, Metamorpho, and Krypto escaping. And then we see Lois and Mr. Terrific, lead them out and save them. Then we see Superman head to his parents' house because he's weakened from the kryptonite. And then Lois. Oh yeah, no, that's right. Eve sends Jimmy a bunch of selfies of herself, as because they have evidence in them. Because then, right after she does, she gets sent to the pocket dimension by Lex. So obviously Lois goes back and figures that out. Of course, during that we have Clark at his parents' house, and I thought it was pretty nice, getting stuff like that. I thought the scene with him and his dad was pretty heartwarming. It was pretty nice. Yeah, that was pretty nice. I think that was definitely needed for this movie because, I do feel like, I don't know, I feel like Man of Steel kind of had moments like that with Clark and Martha. I guess I feel like it wasn't much though, to be honest. So I like that this movie gave us a bit more of that. And even talking about obviously the scene, not trying to diss on. I like Man of Steel. Why does my voice keep doing that? Listen, I like Man of Steel a lot, but I do think most of the scenes with Clark and his dad in that movie were, I felt like it was mostly just them, arguing. And then obviously you have the one scene of his dad, or where Clark's like, "What was I supposed to do? Let those kids die on the bus?" And his dad was like, "Maybe." He's like, "What?" So I think this movie definitely did a better job on that, of course. So yeah, then of course Lex, angry about the Superman escaping, he starts opening the pocket dimension into Earth, and the Earth's splitting in half. Then we see the one area with all those people, and the kids start chanting Superman. which I thought was really nice, especially with the score playing in the background. I thought it was a really, really, really good moment. And of course, Superman heads, or he's going to head there, but Mr. Terrific needs his help. So he goes there, and of course, we have the fight scene with Superman and, why am I keep forgetting his name? Ultraman. We have him, Ultraman, and the Engineer fighting, which I thought was a pretty good, like, short-ish fight. You know, we have the Engineer, like, start suffocating him. Then Superman flies up and then, like, heads down, which I thought was, you know, pretty cool scene, you know, pretty smart. Then, of course, we find out that, why do I keep forgetting his name? We find out that Ultraman is a Superman clone, which, come on, were a lot of us not expecting that already? I mean, I don't know. I was expecting that already, but we find out it's a clone. You know, Lex is like, oh, he's dumber than you, but, you know. So yeah, Ultraman is a Superman clone. They continue fighting a little bit. Of course, Crypto comes in and helps out. Then like towards the end of it, Superman sends him to a black hole. During the movie, I was like, wait, did he just kill him? But I don't think he's dead. I think we'll see him again. I've seen some people say he might come back as Bizarro, which I think would be interesting. So, you know, I could see that happening. But yeah, then of course Lex starts sending in more of like his robots after Superman, and Superman's just destroying all of them, which I thought was another cool sequence. And yeah, sure, the CGI and the effects looks a little goofy, you know, but I don't know, it didn't really bug me, to be honest. It didn't really bug me all that much. And of course Lois and the Daily Planet people are like out trying to, you know, release all the evidence against Lex Luthor. Of course they end up doing that, and then we see Superman go to Lex, and then, okay, this is like the one serious scene that it didn't annoy me too much, that I was kind of like, okay, come on. What was that? Off the specific topic, but I love the scene where all the people were chanting for Superman. Yeah, no, I did talk about that. My God, my voice. Sorry about that, y'all. I don't know what's going on. But no, I did talk about that like a few minutes ago. I do agree. I think that was a great moment. That was a really great moment, I think. So, yeah, no, I agree with that. What was I talking about? Okay, this is the one kind of serious moment I was tiny bit like, not very annoyed per se, but I was like, okay, come on. That's of course where Crypto like starts smacking Lex around the room. I mean, it was still kind of funny, but part of me was kind of like, okay, come on. Like, come on. I want to see Clark and like Lex, or Superman and Lex, you know, keep talking to each other. But it didn't bother me that much. Sorry, I didn't catch your dash in there. Oh yeah, that's cool. Hey, LB, you could DoorDash here. Probably not. So yeah, then yeah, all the evidence comes out against Lex, and then also during that, we have the Justice Gang, we specifically Guy Gardner and Hawkgirl, helping out all those people that Superman can get to. And I thought that was pretty nice. I thought it was pretty nice for them. And Metamorpho was also there. Forgot to mention that. I thought it was pretty nice, especially for like Guy Gardner, because, you know, obviously we had that scene earlier where they were like, hey, yeah, we saved the day, and all the kids are wanting to take pictures of Superman instead and not them. I think it was nicer here, you know, that, you know, yeah, at the end they, you know, saved everyone and everyone was, you know, cheering for them. I thought that was nice. And, okay, I freaking loved how Hawkgirl took the, what was his name? You know, the other villain guy, how she took him. She literally just killed him. I thought that was honestly hilarious. She was like, she took him, she was like flying him out, and he was like, he said something along the lines of, oh, you won't kill me, like how Superman wouldn't kill me. And she's like, I'm not Superman. She just drops him. I thought that was awesome. So, yeah. Then Metamorpho joins the Justice Gang. I thought that was a pretty funny moment where Guy Gardner was like, no, and then Metamorpho was like, the Justice Gang, that's a cool name, and he's like, you're in. I thought that was funny. Then Lex gets arrested, of course. You know, Superman and Lois have their big kiss flying at the end. But that was pretty good. And yeah, I do think I will say, this is not a problem, I would have personally ended the movie right there, and then have the following scene be the post-credit scene, at least specifically if, of course, Supergirl shows up, Kara Zor-El shows up, which I was expecting that, to be honest, because, you know, we've been hearing about that for months now, and not only that, I remember, like, wasn't it HBO Max that, like, listed her on the cast? I think it was them. So I was kind of expecting her to show up, but it was still cool seeing her. I really like her suit. I really do like the suit they have for her. And I thought the scene for her in Crypto, like stomping on her in the ground was hilarious. See, I kind of think they could have had that in the first post-credit scene, but I know I get James Gunn's whole thing of not wanting to, like, do, like, post-credit scenes of, like, what's the word? Like, more specifically, because obviously I know James in the DCU, he really wants to make it to where, you know, you can watch any movie, any show, without having seen, you know, like for example, I'm sure when Supergirl comes out, they'll make it as much as they can of, oh, you can watch Supergirl even if you haven't seen Superman, you know? So, I don't know. But still, that was a cool moment. That was a pretty cool moment at the end with Supergirl showing up. And like I said, we don't even find out if, the message that they sent, that Kal-El's parents sent to him, if the second half was fake. But like I said earlier, if it is real, then like I said, I'll be fine with it, because that does, like what I talked about, goes to show how, you know, good of a person Superman is for believing that wasn't it all his life. So yeah, and you know, we have like the whole thing with his you know, his Earth parents, which I thought was nice, like all the photos and videos and all that. And the movie ends, and then we have the, I guess the first post-credit scene. It wasn't really a post-credit scene, it was just like I don't know, I don't really count it as a post-credit scene, but it was like him and Crypto on the moon. But then we get to the second post-credit scene, which is just which I remember seeing behind-the-scenes photo for this scene, which is funny. We see, you know, Superman and Terrific looking out a wall, and Terrific's like, did I do good on fixing it? Superman's like, eh. Terrific's like, just walks away, and Superman's like, man, I can be rude sometimes. You know, I thought that was fun. That was funny. But yeah, so that was the movie. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. I had a great time with it. Again, as far as nitpicks go, like I mentioned earlier, some of the exposition at the beginning of the movie I thought wasn't handled very well, but it was really only at the beginning of the movie. And then, I mean, like I said, I guess some of the effects at points, especially in the third act, can look a little goofy, but like I said, it didn't really bother me that much, but I guess it is still something to know. And then, what else? What else is there to add? I'm trying to think. Also, sorry, my camera's glitching now, I just noticed that. Aside from all that, I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, I haven't even talked about David and Nick as Superman and Lex. I think David Cornsweet did a great job. I think he, especially, god damn, my stupid ass voice. Especially as Superman, I think he did a great job. He was also good as Clark. I just, you know, we haven't seen too much of Clark obviously yet, him as Clark, but I still think with what he did as Clark, it was pretty good. Someone says, do you think this movie is better than Man of Steel? I'd say so. Yeah, I'd say it's better than Man of Steel. And again, I like Man of Steel. I really like Man of Steel. I think it's a, you know, I enjoy Man of Steel for what it is, but I would say this movie is better, because Man of Steel definitely has more issues with it. But yeah, so yeah, I would say this is better than Man of Steel. I say Man of Steel is like, what do I have? I think I have it at like a 3.5 on Letterboxd. And this movie right now, I have it at 5. I have this movie at a 5 right now, so I would say it's better than Man of Steel, but I still like Man of Steel. But yeah, David Cornsweet was great as Superman, and he was good as Clark Kent. Nicholas Hoult honestly did surprise me, because I will be honest, Nicholas Hoult was the one cast member I was a little iffy on. I was kind of like, I don't know. Like, not that I was against it, I was just, I don't know, he was the one that I was like, I don't know how to feel about that, you know? But he did great. He did great. I thought he did great. He definitely proved me wrong. So, you know, props to you know, Nicholas Hoult, because he definitely surprised me the most out of everyone. So yeah. And, you know, just the whole cast in general did great. The whole cast in general did great. You know, they all did great jobs, and, yeah. So, overall, I had a great time with Superman. I thought it was a great movie, and I think it was a great, technically, start to the DCU, because, again, Creature Commandos, technically. But, as far as, like, the movie side of things go, I think this was a great start, and it definitely has me more excited going forward for the DCU. Like, I'm definitely looking more forward to Supergirl now. I still need to read the Woman of Tomorrow comic. I've been wanting to read that, because obviously that's where her movie's going to be based on. Because I've heard that comic's really good, so I definitely still need to check that out. But even before then, I'm still looking forward to Supergirl. Obviously, I'm excited for Peacemaker. Well, mostly excited. I'm still a little iffy on Peacemaker Season 2, just because of the whole DCU thing, but still. You know, I'm looking forward to Lanterns. I'm looking forward to the future of the DCU already. You know, I'm already very optimistic about it. Very optimistic about it. God damn, his voice cracks are insane this stream. Wow. But yeah, so overall, I had a great time with Superman. And yeah, and of course, if you guys want to, okay, can someone do like a counter of how many voice cracks I've had this stream? I think this is like a record. This is like a record. I was gonna say, of course, as I always bring up in my reviews, if you guys want to know my immediate thoughts on movies and even TV shows, like after I watch them, to be sure to go follow me on Letterboxd. This is, you know, that was my, I don't know if it'll focus, but this was, I'm trying to make it focus. Okay, there we go. That was my Out of the Theater review on Superman. Well, it was like an hour or two later, because I was contemplating on the rating, but still. So if you want to know my immediate thoughts on movies and shows, you know, as soon as after I watch them, then be sure to go follow me on Letterboxd. The link to that is in the description. And yeah, but I think that is going to do it. So to recap, I think Superman was a great movie. I think it was a great way to start the DCU, and I am very much looking forward to what comes next in the DCU. So yeah, but what did you guys think of this movie? Let me know in the comments, and yeah, as always, hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.